So here you are going to apply on how basic proportionality theorem is being applied in a given examples. Same as with the application of solving which involves segments cut by transversals. What's up? Sir IGOP lang ng sakalam. Wow, pakikiuso, di ba? Usong-uso ngayon yung mga um, binabaliktad yung pagbasa ng salita. Di ba? Just like yung IGOP, it's the opposite of pogi. Pag binaliktad ng pagbasa, that means pogi. Sakalam, pag binaliktad ng pagbasa, sabihin malakas. Kaya Sir IGOP lang ang sakalam. Di ba? Speaking of mga binabaliktad na mga words, na pagbasa ng mga words, alam nyo ba, have you ever thought of a word that when you read it backwards, you will also come up with the same word? Diba? Have you ever thought of that? So, katulad ng mga words na oso, diba? Asa, Tagalog words, ihi, kasintabi, diba? Pag binasa natin yung pabaliktad, so yung word pa rin na yun ang mabubuo natin. So, just like for example, yung pangalan na Hana with an H doon sa dulo, di ba? Hana. Yung kaya. Di ba? Pag binasa natin pabaliktad, still, yung word pa rin na yun ang mapuform natin. So, if you have these words, if you know any of these words, you can share that to others, or you can ask others to also think of words that when you read it backward, the word that you will form is the same word na binaliktad mo. So that's just some kind of a trivia, diba? So let's enough of that. So let's proceed now to our discussion for today. So this is just a continuation of our discussion for the second chapter ng discussion natin for the third grading period, which is about similarity. So basically, we are now on lesson number 9. So what are we going to discuss for this lesson number 9? So for lesson number 9, what we are going to discuss is about basic proportionality theorem, and kasabayan natin siya ng discussing another lesson which is about segments cut by transversals. So, what are the things that you will expect in this lesson? So here you are going to apply on how basic proportionality theorem is being applied in a given examples. Same as with the application of solving which involves segments cut by transversals. So basically, the knowledge that we need in order for us to understand or to solve problems which involves these lessons that we are going to tackle today is your knowledge about solving proportion. You know already on how you're going to solve an unknown value in a given proportion. So all you have to do is to apply on how you solve for it. Then you are going to also solve these problems that we are going to encounter here with the help of basic proportionality theorem as well as segments cut by transversals. So ano pang hinihintay natin? So let's start it now. So unahin natin yung basic proportionality theorem. So ano bang basic proportionality theorem? So sabi dito, basic proportionality theorem states that if a line intersects two sides of a triangle at distinct points and is parallel to the third side, then the line divides the two sides into proportional segments. Again, we are going to understand it more clearly. If a line intersects two sides of a triangle at distinct points, and that uh, line is parallel to the third side of the triangle, then according to basic proportionality theorem, then the line divides the two sides into proportional segments. So paano ba yun? So para mas maintindihan natin mas mabuti, uh, let's draw a figure uh, that will talk about basic proportionality theorem. So ito yun, for example, we do have here triangle ABC. Ito yan, triangle ABC. And we do have here segment DE. And this segment intersects these two distinct points, two intersects on two sides of the triangle at distinct points. And that segment is parallel to the third side of the triangle. So if that is the case, then we can apply basic proportionality theorem. Paano? How are we going to apply it? So if that is the given, so triangle ABC with a segment DE intersecting two sides of the triangle, and that segment is parallel to the third side, then we can conclude that AD over BD, we can form one ratio here, is equal to AE over CE. Another ratio for us to form a proportion. So we can come up with that. So pwede natin, we can form proportion as AD over BD as the first ratio, then AE over CE as the second ratio in order for us to form a proportion. So aside from uh, applying or forming proportion vertically, we can also form proportion horizontally. So just like this. So that is AD over AE, ito dalawang nasa taas naman, is equal to BD over CE. So kahit nag-form tayo ng proportion horizontally, still the two given ratios are equal. Di ba? Pinag-aralan natin yung properties on proportion, that even if we apply those properties, still the two ratios are equal. So ano lang ba nangyari dito? Diba? AD over AE, BD over CE. It's just like we applied one property on um, proportion. Diba? So even if we apply that, so still we can come up with that. We can come up with a proportion, or still the two ratios are equal. So that if we are asked to find for the measure of a segment na form ng nag-intersect yung line DE or side DE there, so we can make use of forming proportion just like how we present it. So pwede ka mag-form ng proportion again vertically, or you can form proportion horizontally. So paano ba 'yon? So so much better kung i-apply natin siya through examples. Paano ba? Let's try example number 1. So example number 1, we do have here a given triangle. And this segment here intersects two sides of the triangle at distinct points. And this segment is parallel to the third side. So this segment now measures 15, while this segment measures 30. This measures x, and this measures 10. So what we are going to do here is to find for the value of x. So with the application of the basic proportionality theorem, all we have to do is in order for us to solve for the value of the variable, is for us to form first a proportion. So again, we made mention kanina, there are two ways in forming proportion. We can form proportion vertically, or we can form proportion horizontally. So pwede natin gamitin yung dalawa na yun. So dito, if you are going to solve for example number 1, to solve for x, ang ginamit natin is forming proportion horizontally. So we come up with 15 over 30 is equal to x over 10. Also, pwede natin siyang gawin vertically, 15 over x is equal to 30 over 10. Pwedeng ganun din yung gamitin nyo. But kahit na gamitin nyo yung other way of forming proportions, still you'll come up with the same answer. So parehas sagot pa rin naman ang makukuha nyo even if you do that. Diba? So, next thing we are going to do is to solve for the value of x. So as you can see in the given proportion, we do have 15 over 30 is equal to x over 10. So what we are going to do is to apply cross multiplication. That's a property on proportion. Pag in-apply natin cross multiplication, siyempre unahin natin yung may variable involved. That would be 30 times x, that would be 30x is equal to 15 times 10, which is equal to 150. So applying cross multiplication is just like we are applying fundamental law of proportion. So from there, we are going to divide, since we want to solve for the value of x, since it's still accompanied by 30, so we have to remove by 30 by dividing both sides of the equation by 30. So we can cancel out now 30 so that x will be left. And 150 divided by 30 is equal to 5. So the value of x now is equal to 5. So there is also another way para sa pagpadali pa yung solution natin. As you can see in the first, so 15 over 30 can still be reduced into lowest term. So mas madali kung i-reduce na agad natin siya into lowest term so that we can encounter smaller numbers. So pag i-reduce natin to lowest term, 15 over 30 is also the same as 1/2. Diba? So 1/2 yan, kung i-apply mo cross multiplication, 2 times x is 2x, then 1 times 10 is equal to 10. Then divide both sides by 2, still you'll come up with the answer, which is the value of x equal to 5. If x is the value of 5, kung 5 yon, magiging 5 over 10 to. Yung 5 over 10 ba, pag ni-lowest term, is also the same as 1/2? The answer is yes. That means the value of x is really 5. So nakuha natin yung value ng x na yon with the application of the basic proportionality theorem. Nakuha ba yung first example? If not yet, let's try another example. The example number 2, we do have another given triangle. And this segment intersect on the two sides of the triangle, and that segment is parallel to the third side of the triangle. With a given measurement for this segment as 32, this segment is 24, this is 64, 6x plus 2, and this segment measures 4x plus 6. Then, with the application of the basic proportionality theorem, what we are going to do first is to form a proportion. Again, we can form proportion, it's either vertically or horizontally. So here, we applied forming proportion vertically. This time, vertically naman ginawa natin because yung number 1, horizontally tayo doon. That would be 32 over 24 is equal to 6x plus 2 over 4x plus 6. So, ganito yun. Then as you can see, 32 over 24, katulad ng minention natin sa example number 1. So, much better kung pwede nating ma-lowest term yung fraction na walang involved na, yung ratio na walang involved na variable. So, gawin natin. Kasi by doing that, mas mapapadali natin yung pagsosolve natin kasi makaka-encounter na tayo ng maliliit na numbers. So, 32 over 24. So, 32 over 24, when we simplify it or when we reduce it into lowest term, it will be equal to, because both of them are divisible by 8, right? So 32 divided by 8 is 4, while 24 divided by 8 is 3. So instead of using 32 over 24, we are going to make use of 4 over 3. In that way, mas mababang number sa may encounter natin, mas madali din natin maiisip kung paano solve yung given problem. So again, since we formed a proportion now, and our goal is to find for the value of the variable in the given proportion so that the two given ratios will become equal. So ang gagawin natin is to apply the cross multiplication, or it is just like we are applying the fundamental law of proportion. Pag apply natin yung cross multiplication, isipin natin, pag minultiply ba natin yung 4 by 4x, and by yung 3 by 6x, ano yung mas malaki sa kanila? So, kasi mas maganda kung doon sa left side natin is yung larger product of x ang malalagay natin. Pwede rin naman nasa kabila siya pa nakalimutan nyo as long as you're applying cross multiplication. But in that way kasi mas may iwasan natin yung magkaroon tayo ng negative number for the value for the numerical coefficient of x. So that's why iniisip natin muna kaagad. So here, pag multiply yung 4 times 4x, that would be 16x. 3 times 6x, that would be 18x. So mas malaki yung 18x. So unahin muna natin ito. So since binomial yung nasa kabilang side natin, we are going to apply here distributive property. So 3 times 6x, that would be 18x, plus 3 times 2, that would be 6. Well, equal to 4 times 4x, that would be 16x. Then plus 4 times 6, that would be 24. So magiging ganito. 18x plus 6 is equal to 16x plus 24. Again, we made use of cross multiplication. Then from there, we are going to combine similar terms. That is first by moving 16x to the left side of the equation, while moving 6 to the right side of the equation. So we move that by applying a certain property of equality. So, ginagawa natin yun, ina-apply natin certain property of equality. More specifically, subtraction property of equality. So, pag ginawa natin yun, from positive 16 here, since it jumped the equal sign, magiging minus 16x. Then, from positive 6 here, again, since it jumped the equal sign, magiging minus 6. So, magiging ganito kalalabasan. We have 18x minus 16x is equal to 24 minus 6. Then simplify that. 18x minus 16x, meron tayong 2x, and 24 minus 6, we come up with 18. So since we want to solve for the value of the variable x, and since x is still accompanied by 2 there, so we have to remove that by dividing both sides of the equation by 2. Again, dividing it is just like we are also applying certain property of equality. So, cancel out the 2 there, x will be left, then 18 divided by 2 now is equal to 9. So, the value of x is 9. That would be the value of x that will make the given proportion that will satisfy the given proportion rather. So, let's try. Kung ang x is equal to 9, that would be 6 times 9, that would be 54 plus 2, that would be 56. 4 times 9, that would be 36 plus 6, that would be 42. Meron kang 56 over 42. Diba? Pag nilowest term ba natin yun, that would be the same as 4 over 3? Yes. It's because 56 and 42 are both divisible by 14. So, ayun yung GCF nila, yung 14. So, pag divide natin by 14 yung 56, that would be equal to 4. Then, pag divide natin yung 42 by 14, that would be equal to 3. So, therefore, the value of x is really equal to 9. And we solve that with the application of the basic proportionality theorem with the help of also of your knowledge about solving proportion. So, did you get example number 2? So, hopefully, nakuha nyo on how to apply basic proportionality theorem with the help of solving proportion. So now, let's try the third example. So in the third example, another given triangle, and there is a segment there that intersects two sides of the triangle at distinct points, and that segment is parallel to the third side of the triangle. So this segment measures x, this segment is 6, this segment is 10, while this segment is 14 minus x. What we are going to do is to solve for the value of the variable that will satisfy the given in the problem. So, that will satisfy the given proportion that we are going to form. So here, again, with the application of the basic proportionality theorem, let's form first a proportion. Again, you can form proportion vertically and horizontally. So what we did here is forming a proportion horizontally, vertically rather. We form proportion vertically. So pwede, inuna natin yung 6/10. Pero pwede naman siyang kabaliktad eh. Kahit nandito yung 6/10, that will just be the same. So, inuna na natin, pinagpalit ang natin. So, nilagay lang natin dito, just like yung first two examples, so nandito dito yung fraction or ratio na walang involved na variable. But kahit kabaliktad sila, still, pag sinimplify natin yon, pag sinolve natin given proportion, we will still come up with the same answer. Okay? So, looking at 6/10, as you can see, 6/10 can still be reduced into lowest term. 6/10, pag ni-reduce natin into lowest term, both 6 and 10 are divisible by 2. So, 6 divided by 2 is 3, then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So, meron tayong 3/5. So, instead of using 6/10, so we are going to make use of 3/5. So, that's what we are going to use in order for us to solve for the value of the variable. So, to solve the given proportion, what we are going to do is to apply the fundamental law of proportion or cross multiplication. So, obvious na ito, mas mataas yung 5. So, isimulan natin dito, magkakaroon tayo ng 5 times x, that would be 5x, and 3 times 14, that would be equal to 42, minus 3 times x is 3x. So, magiging ganito yon. So, 5x is equal to 42 minus 3x. Then, simplify that by combining similar terms. So, 3x, negative 3x here, or minus 3x here is similar to 5x. So, move natin yung minus 3x to the left side of the equation. Since it jumped the equal sign, so magiging plus 3x ngayon yun. Magiging 5x plus 3x is equal to 42. Simplify that. 5x plus 3x is equal to 8x, which is equal to 42. Then, since we want to solve for the value of x, let us divide both sides of the equation here by 8. Then we cancel 8. X will be left. Then 42 divided by 8. Since 42 is not exactly divisible by 8, so what we are going to do is to just simply reduce it into lowest term. I-reduce na lang natin into lowest term. So both 42 and 8 are divisible by 2. So pag ginawa natin yon, magkakaroon tayo ng answer na value ng x, which is equal to 21/4. So ang value ng x na to, 21/4, 21/4 din to, na magsasatisfy to this given proportion. So, pag 21/4 yung value ng x na yan, dyan, so magiging equal yung two ratios na to. So, yun yung ibig sabihin nun. So, we solved it with the help of solving proportion and also with the given problem na about a basic proportionality theorem. So, that's how we answer example number 3. So, may question about it? So, if none, let's proceed to the next. So, this time, we are going to discuss on how are we going to use or solve problems which involve segments cut by transversals. So, ano naman yung segments cut by transversals? Segments cut by transversals states that if 3 or more parallel lines are cut by 2 or more transversals, then the segments cut off by the transversals are proportional. So, makita nyo ulit doon yung word na proportion. So, ibig sabihin, in order for you to solve problems which involve segments cut by transversals, still, yung the way on how you solve proportion is needed. Because with the help of these statements, malalaman natin according to the statement, we made mention there of the word proportion. So again, kung i-analyze natin mabuti yung statement, sabi dito, if 3 or more parallel lines are cut by 2 or more transversals, then the segments cut off by the transversals are proportional. So this time, hindi lang to basta dalawang two lines which are parallel to each other and cut by transversal. So 3 or more parallel lines cut by 2 or more transversals. So may dalawang transversal tayo. So, ganun yun. So, say, for example, ganito yun. So, we do have here 4 lines which are parallel to each other. Yes, I mean, 3 or more parallel lines. Then, was cut by 2 or more transversals. Ito yung transversal natin. These 2 lines are the transversals. Then, when 4 lines which are parallel to each other and was cut by 2 transversals, makaka-form tayo ng 6 segments. But segments A, B, C, D, E, F. According to the statement, yung segments formed by the transversals are proportional segments. So paano yun? So just like yung basic proportionality theorem, we can also do that forming proportion vertically and horizontally. So unahin na muna natin vertically. That is AB is equal to DE, BC is equal to EF, then AC is equal to DF. So you can form proportion just like that. Or you can form proportion horizontally. So that's just like AD is equal to B over E, A over D is equal to B over E, then B over E is equal to C over F, then A over D is equal to C over F. Ganun din sa vertical, no? Medyo na tayo sa pagbasa kanya. It should be A over B is equal to D over E, B over C is equal to E over F, A over C is equal to D over F. So you can form proportion vertically again and horizontally. So it is the same way that we are applying now segments cut by transversals. So as long as you've seen that there are 3 or more lines which are parallel to each other and was cut by 2 or more transversals, then you can apply segments cut by transversal, wherein the segments are proportional segments. The segments cut by the transversals are proportional. Okay? So paano ina-apply through example? So let's have example of it. So may tayo ditong given example. So 3 lines. Ito yung 3 lines which are parallel to each other and was cut by 2 transversals. So this segment measures 10, this segment measures 12, this segment measures x, and this segment measures x plus 12. So in order for us to solve for it, so what we are going to do is to form or solve for the value of the variable rather. So what we are going to do first is to form a proportion. Again, just like what I mentioned to you, you can form proportion vertically or horizontally. So what we did here is we formed proportion horizontally. Bakit horizontally ang ginawa natin? Because when we form proportion horizontally, makaka-form tayo doon ng ratio na walang involved na variable. Just like yung 10 over 12 is equal to x over x plus 12. Kasi pag vertically, wala tayong ratio doon na mag-form na walang involved na variable. So, titignan natin mabuti. So, iisipin natin, ano ba yung mas best way to solve for it. Pero, I'm not saying na hindi mo masosolve na kapag in-apply mo yung vertical way. So, even if you apply the vertical way, so, still, you'll come up with the same answer. Mas madali nga lang, kung mas mapapadali natin, solution natin, kapag may encounter natin, yung makaform tayo ng ratio na walang involved na variable. So that would be 10 over 12 is equal to x over x plus 12. So just like how we solve with the application of basic proportionality theorem, so ganun din natin sinusolve when we form a proportion with the application of segments cut by transversals. So yung 10 over 12, as you can see, is a fraction that can still be reduced into lowest term. So 10 over 12, when reduced into lowest term, that will be the same as 5 over 6 because 10 and 12 are both divisible by 2. So instead of using 10 over 12, we are now going to make use of 5 over 6. So then, let's apply on how to solve proportion with the application of cross multiplication or the fundamental law of proportion. So dito tayo, 6 times x, we come up with 6x. 5 times x is 5x plus 5 times 12 is equal to 60. So we'll come up with 6x is equal to 5x plus 60. Then move natin yung 5x to the left side of the equation. So it will become 6x minus 5x is equal to 60. Then 6x minus 5x is equal to x already, which is equal to 60. So yun yung hinahanap natin in the problem. So if x is 60, kung 60 ito, 60 yung numerator, then 60 plus 12, that would be 72. That's 60 over 72. So pag nilowest term ba yun, say mas 5 over 6? Yes, because 60 and 72 are both divisible by 12. So pag nilowest term natin yon, that will be the same as 5 over 6. Did you get example number 1? So if not yet, let's try another example. So we do have here example number 2. So we do have 4 lines. Ito yon, ito naman yung 4 lines which are parallel to each other and was cut by 2 transversals. So what we're going to do to solve for this given, for the value of the variables in this given problem, we are going to form a proportion. So given na dito, pwede tayong mag-form ng proportion, diba, kahit yung ratio. Diba, pwede natin gawin yun just like what we did on when we solve yung sa triangles, about triangles, but conditions of for two triangles to be similar. Yung mga examples na ginawa doon, di ba, pakaka-form tayo doon ng 3 ratios na equated into each other. Pwede natin yung gawin din dito. It is the same way that we are applying segments cut by transversals. So, the first thing we're going to do is to form a proportion. So, mag-form tayo ng proportion na y over 15, 30 over 25 is equal to y over 15 is equal to 30 over 25 is equal to 18 over x. So, yun mismo, we form proportion vertically. So, yan form proportion vertically. So, ang goal natin for this example is to solve for the value of x and value of y. But take a look at a given ratio without an involved of a variable. That's 30 over 25. Yung 30 over 25 ba, pwede pa nating ma-reduce into lowest term? The answer is yes. What's 30 over 25 in lowest term? Both of them are divisible by 5. So that's why when we reduce it into lowest term, that will be the same as 6 over 5. So instead of using 30 over 25, so magiging 6 over 25, 6 over 5 na lang. So smaller number na may encounter natin. So the first thing we're going to do is to solve for x. So disregard muna natin itong ratio na to. Dito muna tayo mag-focus yung proportion involving x. So apply cross multiplication, 6 times x is 6x, 5 times 18 is equal to 90. So magkakaroon tayo ng 6x equals 90. So to solve for x, let us divide both sides of the equation by 6. So we'll come up, cancel 6 there and x will be left. Then 90 divided by 6. So 90 is exactly divisible by 6. So 90 divided by 6 is equal to 15. So kung 15 ang value ng x, ito ay magiging 18 over 15. 18 over 15. Pag nilowest term ba yun, same as 6 over 5? Yes, because both 18 and 15 are divisible by 3. So isa lang kailangan natin. That would be the value of y. So this time, di-disregard naman natin yung x to solve for y. So dito naman tayo mag-focus ngayon. Let's apply cross multiplication. 5 times y is 5y. 15 times 6 is equal to 90. So 5y is equal to 90. To solve for y, we have to divide both sides of the equation by 5. So that 5 will be cancelled out, then y will be left. Y now is equal to 90 divided by 5. So that's also exactly divisible by 5. That 90 is exactly divisible by 5. So 90 divided by 5, that would be equal to 18. So y is equal to 18. So 18 ang y over 15. So same way as this, di ba? Yung 18, 15 ang value ng x. So 18 over 15, pag yung lowest start is also 6 over 5. So ang value ng x is 15 while the value of y is 18. So sinolve natin yon with the help of solving proportion, with the help of fundamental law of proportion, and also we made use of a given about segments cut by transversals. Nakuha example number 2. So let's proceed to the next. Let's have here example number 3. Again, we do have here, ito, it's just like, parang triangle ang given natin, pero meron tayo ditong, etong 3 lines na to, ito yung 3 lines which are parallel to each other. Then, ito namang 2 sides of the triangle, ayun naman yung transversals natin. Then, this segment measures 20, ito ay y, ito ay x minus 10, ito ay 16, ito ay 18, ito ay 6. So what we are going to do first to solve for the value of the unknown in the given problem, again, what we are going to solve for this are the values of x and y. So what we are going to do first is to form proportion. So pag pinam natin proportion, we can form proportion vertically and horizontally. So syempre, if you're going to look at the given, mas madaling form na yung proportion vertically. So pinam natin yung proportion vertically, magkakaroon tayo 20 over y, then is equal to 18 over 6, ito naman yon, is equal to x minus 10 over 6. And bakit pinagpalit natin yung 18 over 6? Kasi, mas maganda kung igigitna natin yung mapoform nating ratio na walang involved na variable. Kasi, mas madali nating masusolve or mabi-visualize through the given form proportion yung pag-solve natin for the value of the variable. Just like what we did in example number 2, di ba? Kasi, even if pagpalitin natin yan, di ba, since proportion nga sila, still, they are equal. Di ba? Equal pa rin sila. Kasi sabi natin sa proportion, the two ratios are equal. So, kahit pagpalitin natin, equal pa rin naman yung nothing happens with the value. So, ganun pa rin, the two ratios or the given ratios are equal. So, kahit pagpalitin nyo. So, ang ginawa natin, pinagpalit natin, ginitna natin yung ratio na walang involved na variable. Kasi in that way, mas madali yon. Ang gagawin natin una, 18 over 6, as you can see, can still be reduced into lowest term. So 18 over 6 can be reduced into 3 over 1 because both 18 and 6 are divisible by 6. So we are going to make use of 3 over 1 instead of using 18 over 6. In that way, mas mababang number so may encounter natin. So una, let's solve for x. To solve for x, let's try cross multiplication. Ito yun. I-disregard muna natin ito. Dito tayo mag-focus. So 1 times x minus 10 is the same as x minus 10. Then 3 times 16, that would be equal to 48. So meron tayo x minus 10 is equal to 48. Then combine similar terms by moving negative 10 to the right side of the equation. So magiging x plus 10 ngayon yun. So magiging x is equal to 48 plus 10, brother. Then 48 plus 10 is equal to 58. So the value of x there is 58. Kung 58 daw ang x, 58 minus 10, that would be 48 over 16. 48 is exactly divisible by 16, right? So 48 divided by 16 is 3. So ganun din naman to, 3 divided by 1 is 3. So they are equal. So that means they are proportion. Next, let's solve for y. Solve for y, disregard naman natin ito naman. So dito tayo mag-focus. So ito yung may y. 3 times y is 3y. 20 times 1 is 20. So meron tayong 3y is equal to 20. Then since we are solving for y, and it's still accompanied by 3, so we have to remove 3 by dividing both sides of the equation by 3. So cancel the 3, y will be left. So y is equal to, since 20 is not exactly divisible by 3, so it will stay as it is. So the value of y is 20 over 3. Kapag 20 over 3 ang y, 20 over 3, di ba pag nag-simplify tayo ng complex fraction, yung kapag fraction denominator, we get the reciprocal of it, di ba? It is just like 20 over y, magiging 3 over 20. So magiging 20 times 3 yun is 60. Divide by 20 is also equal to 3 kapag sinimplify natin. So the value of y is 20 over 3. So that's how we answer example number 3 about segments cut by transversals, with the help also of solving proportion and also with the help of the fundamental law of proportion. So any questions? So if there are no more questions, then that would be all for today. Goodbye, class.